two, rock on. Check it out, y'all. 1, 2. Yo, lady. Rock on. Check it out, y'all. 1, 2. Yo, lady. Rock on, check it out, y'all. 1, 2. Yo, lady, yo, lady, yo, lady, yo, lady. Rock on, rock on, rock on, rock on, rock on. 1, 2. Yo, lady. Rock on, rock on.
We're back again. We started a little early without Bill, but you know what I'm saying? I have the legendary Crazy Legs in the building from the original Rocksteady crew. And it's an honor to have him here. I know him from back then. And he's still here doing his thing. Crazy Legs, what's up, man?
My man, always a
What's
pleasure
going
to
on,
see
bro?
you, man. I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Just happy we're still staying relevant.
That's right,
Yeah.
man. And you know, what's the science? This is really like a podcast / showcast. I say showcast because I make it a little documentary like where you can actually see and live events that was going on, the locations and everything. And it's real necessary, I feel, for people to know about the culture. Crazy Legs, man, I remember back then when I was young doing my graffiti thing in my early stages of DJing was the #1 breakdancer out. You know what I'm
B-boy,
saying?
B-boy.
B-boy. I mean, you know, I'm from the East Side, I'm from
Yeah,
Spanish Harlem,
yeah,
El
yeah.
Barrio, so that's what we was calling it. But
Yeah,
B-boy,
I
you understand, that word came
Yeah.
before breakdancing.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, how do you feel about how it all evolved to now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, from back then, you know what I'm saying? Some of your biggest battles and, you know, the music and the Rocksteady and Rocksteady
Yeah.
Park and the Zulu anniversaries, like, you know, it's phenomenal, man, what you've been through and to still be here and still dancing.
Well, with respect to the dudes that came before me, you know, and speaking of my own evolution and watching the way things have evolved from the point that I started rocking, you know, I'm just happy to say that I'm glad I had my time a long time ago because a lot of dudes are wilding right now. They got some ill-ass B-boys and B-girls out there doing things that we probably never could have imagined. And just watching how, you know, watching how we were wild-ass kids back then,
Yeah.
and not necessarily understanding how to utilize hip-hop as a tool for empowerment, for bridging the gaps between different cultures. You know, it's pretty amazing because I went from being introduced to Rocksteady crew in terms of like stick up kids, like saying, yo, okay, cool, let's go snatch this purse now. Mm-hmm. So that was my intro to Rocksteady crew, was to catch we used to go, you know, catch a Vic.
Yeah.
So we used to go catch a Vic and, you know, things like that. That was my introduction, and you know, just speeding up to now, to get into Rocksteady, it's like we're trying to use the different art forms to make sure that the kids getting into Rocksteady have a better start than us in terms of education. Or it's like, all right, cool, yo, I'll school you on these skills, but you gotta be right in school. Because I already know how a lot of us fell off from back in the days. Dudes, you know, dead. And a lot of that has to do with the lack of education. And, you know, we were in survival mode. So I think the evolution is for the better for a lot of people who understand how it can be used to make, I guess, the situation better for people of color, especially because this is our thing. It came from our world, and I'm glad we figured it out.
Real talk. So, rest in peace, first of all, Frosty Freeze.
Yes, that was my dude.
How did y'all two first connect?
Oh man, Frosty, I heard about, well, first of all, I was like a mercenary B-boy back in the early 80s, late 70s, and because when breaking was initially started to die in 79, and there weren't many B-boys out there, and I had moved to Manhattan for 4 years, and when I moved to Manhattan, I moved into Manhattan in 79, and I met a dude named VIP, who my boys brought me to his birthday party, And this same VIP was a dude that was a doorman at Bonds International back in the days.
Okay.
And he was a little older than me, but they, he heard about me, and he used to b-boy, and my boy's like, yo, can you go as a birthday present? Like, can you just show up and rock out a little? I'm like, yeah, no doubt. So I just wanted to battle dude. So I went there, and instead of like looking out and just catching wreck a little bit, I called the dude out and smoked him at his birthday party. So then there was this other dude that was there I met, and I smoked him, and then he had lost the battle to Frosty Freeze.
Okay.
So this dude, they used to call him Magnetic. He brought me down to 84th Street, where Brandeis is, and he told me about Frosty Freeze, and I was like, all right, cool, well, you want me to go battle him for you? So I went to a jam, and I didn't know what Frosty Freeze looked like. All I knew is that this dude lost the battle to Frosty Freeze, and now he wanted me to go battle Frosty Freeze as revenge, because he had already lost to me too. Yeah. So he was using me, and me and Frosty battled that day, and I battled Frosty in his neighborhood, which is, that's a tough thing to run into someone else's neighborhood and call somebody out in front of his crowd.
True.
So, I think because of the level of my skills, and I had a different Bronx style that was evolving, we got mutual respect. And we became boys from that point on. And it's crazy because me and Frosty became boys, and Frosty was like, yo, I'm rolling with you. And he wanted to chill with me too, and we became good friends. And then it came to a point where there was this other crew in that area called the Young City Boys. And me and Little Crazy Legs, Pain, he used to write Pain back in the days. Me and Little Crazy Legs heard about this dude, Ken Rock. So, I heard about Ken Rock, and so I went to a jam at Ken Rock's school, Joan of Arc, on the Upper West Side, and I found Kenny, and he didn't have many moves at that time. I found him, I battled him, I beat him, and then it became a thing where we were gonna have a crew battle. So we set it up. It was me and Little Crazy Legs versus Ken Rock at the time, and it was seven of them all together, Young City Boys. Okay. And we ended up battling them at United Skates of America in Queens, the roller skating rink, and we basically beat them. So it was me and him against seven of these dudes, and we smoked them. But the thing with Frosty is, Frosty was running around telling them, yo, I'm down with you. And then he was telling me, yo, I'm down with you. And then when this battle came about, Frosty was like, nah, I'm just gonna watch.
Yeah, that's Wayne.
So he was playing us both.
Yeah, rest in peace. That's
Wayne
right there.
Yeah.
Classic Wayne Frost, Word up. So, what were some of the biggest battles you had?
The biggest battles I had, for me personally, or as Rocksteady?
Rocksteady.
Definitely, I don't really like to count the Beach Street battle, because that was not our regular squad, and it was also, we were controlled in how the battle was gonna happen. So I'm gonna say Rocksteady Crew versus Dynamic Rockers, August of 1981 at Lincoln Center. And then after we filmed Beach Street, because we didn't like that New York City Breakers had, their manager was also a consultant on Beach Street. And we had just finished coming from tour, and we weren't even supposed to be in Beach Street, but the crew Dynamic Rockers was actually the group that was supposed to be in the role that we were in. But they had some sort of issue where they got pushed out of the project, and we came back from Germany. We did an audition, and they were like, yeah, boom, we want to use you guys. And we was in solid shape, man. And we had a record deal at the time, so our management was like, yeah, the people on the record deal should do this, just to promote you guys more. Yeah. So we used people that we normally wouldn't have used in a battle, and when we battled, we were just like pissed off because they went to their management who had power in the movie and forced us to not do routines. So we had everything ready to go. So we were pissed, so we ended up saying, all right, cool, we're gonna battle with the regular squads in 2 weeks, and we're gonna battle at First Class in the Bronx. Okay. Over by Grand Concourse and 149th, I think. So we battled, and that was an ill battle. We just smoked the shit out of them. It was just like, that was the straight beat down. We beat New York City Breakers down so badly. And we used one of the illest B-girls at that time from the Bronx on the front lines with us.
What's her name?
Headspin Janet.
Okay, that's what's up. Give her a props.
Yeah.
So, what was the highlight of Rocksteady?
Wow, the highlight for Rocksteady. It's weird because we had such a long and crazy ride, and you know, at one point, you know, we had a double identity with Rocksteady because some of us were stick-up kids, some of us were drug dealers, some of us were students, some of us were dust heads, you know, and you know, we had all these different aspects to us. We was a wild out crew, but that whole ride was so much fun, man. We was just doing things that kids did in the hood back in those days, and it was just life. And I think that whole Roxy era was great. That whole time that we brought with of course DST. I'm gonna say DST because that's what he was called back then. DST, Infinity Rappers, Bambaataa, Jazzy J, Disco Wiz. Not Disco Wiz, WizKid. Cold Crush. We started performing in places like and Jazzy 5 MCs, fantastic. We started performing at places like The Grill, Danceteria, Mud Club, Peppermint Lounge, all these different places. Now here's the crazy thing that a lot of people don't know. When Kool Lady Blue, who was our manager at the time, became this promoter along with Michael Holman, she would ask us, because I think Michael Holman got pushed out after a while, she would ask us, like, who should I get to perform? And me and Frosty, we were conniving, we're like, yo, we should get this, you know, we wanted to go for our favorite MCs because she didn't know them yet.
Yeah.
And we felt like, yo, we could go from outside the ropes to behind the ropes because she's our manager, she's bringing them in, and we get to be picking like Cold Crush Brothers, and we were telling her all the people that we wanted because we wanted to have a closer relationship with them.
Yeah.
So that was it. And I mean, we were like Cold Crush Brothers, Fantastic Five, Funky Four, but in terms of like the people that I remember, definitely Cold Crush, because I was a super Cold Crush fan, you know, and Frosty was a big Fantastic Five fan, and we were all Furious Five fans, because Furious Five was just, you know, they were the top of the food chain when it came to the MCs, and I don't even know of them battling anyone as a group, but Furious Five was kind of like Earth, Wind, and Fire of hip hop.
Yeah,
you know,
Sugar Hill Records is definitely.
But this is even before they had a record deal that I'm thinking about. You know, when I remember them. Yeah. Well, I may have missed the Furious 4 part because I started dancing in '77. I was still learning my way, and I was pretty much hanging out around Crotona and 180th Street and all that stuff. So I couldn't move around too much, but I got to see enough.
Yeah, because Raheem, when he joined, that was probably.
He joined in '79.
Yeah, exactly. So it was definitely the 4. Yeah.
I just did the research the other day.
Yeah.
I went through all these flyers from '78 and '79 to figure out when Raheem's name started showing up as Furious 5, because before that he was Funky 4.
Funky 4 plus one more. Yeah, exactly. So who was the exact members from day one of the Rocksteady crew? I mean, give me a couple. I know it's hard.
Yeah, no. Well, here's the thing. I was me and my cousin Lenny Len. You remember Lenny Len? He used to write late too, but anyway, me and my cousin Lenny Len were the last two members in the Bronx to get down with the original Rocksteady crew. So the founders were Jimmy D and Jimmy Lee, and then there was JoJo, Easy Mike, CN, who was another writer, Weebles, who was down, and I barely remember the other dudes, man.
Okay.
But that was the original Rocksteady, because Rocksteady started in the Bronx. And when they gave me a chapter, I was able to add people like Frosty Breeze, Ken Swift, Take One, all of them in 1980. But I got in Rocksteady, end of '80. So I got in Rocksteady in '79.
Okay.
I didn't even get in when it started. A lot of people think I'm a founder and I'm not.
What about Rocksteady Park?
Rocksteady Park was a central meeting location for all members of Rocksteady, because you know, it was just dope down there, man. We were chasing girls and bugging out, and you know, you had Harlem right there, And for me, I lived in the Bronx as well, or in certain parts of Manhattan at the time. And that park was just, I don't know what the magic was about that park, but it worked. It worked, and the chemistry between all of us that came together at that time. You had people from Washington Heights, Inwood, from Staten Island. We didn't have no Queens members. We didn't have any Brooklyn members. And we had, Bronx. It was just dope. We had a lot of, from Mitchell houses. Dudes from Mitchell houses used to come down there. Dudes from Crotona 183rd used to go down there. Over by 177th and St. Nick used to come down. And then you had people from the 80s. I mean, we had people coming from around the city, so it was pretty dope.
Last question. What is it that you would like for people to know about Rocksteady at the end of the day when it's all said and done?
Rocksteady helped to raise the bar. I think a lot of people think that Rocksteady is the end all to the discussion because a lot of people came and went in the game, and I personally don't like when people come up to me and say, you one of the original B-boys, and because I know I'm not. My age wouldn't allow me to be one of the original B-boys.
The second generation.
I mean, you know what it is? All right, then you have to figure out, all right, what do you consider a generation? How many years before you go on to the next generation? If I started dancing in '77, after I went to my first jam on Crotona Avenue, how far off am I from the dudes that started it? And what do we really consider a generation? Because I learned from dudes that were older than me. And I think that those dudes that were older than me were very hard on me. And I think it's dope that they were hard on me because I wouldn't have preferred to learn a different way than that tough love. When I was whacked, they were like, yo, that shit's hurt. You need to put a Band-Aid over that. Like, go back home. They used to call you scrub back then all the time. Like, yo, dude's a scrub, man. And I was a scrub. And I think at the end of the day, Rocksteady helped to bring something around the world that started in the Bronx, from what I know. And I'm very proud of that. And it helped a lot of people in their lives. It gave people options. It gave people a choice. And I don't like when people say hip hop saved my life or breaking saved my life, because it's really about the decision you make to put the work into developing your skills that saves your life. I'm just glad that we were able to continue passing the baton to other people to make a choice with.
Now this is the real last question. I forgot one thing and I gotta put it out there. What was Crazy Leg's signature move?
My signature move, it's weird because I think in order to become a B-boy, back then you had to be a biter. Because I think everyone was a biter. Because I think whether you're stealing moves off the Nicholas Brothers or whoever, and you're bringing it into the world of funk and soul in the way we knew it in the 70s, you were recreating that move within the essence of the movement that you were part of. And I think that happens with any generation. You're still inspired by other things. You watch a martial arts film, and look, Frosty Freeze used to do drunken style, Yeah, and his b-boying, because we used to be on 42nd Street watching films, and like any other kid at that time, we come out trying to hit each other and fight each other and all that stuff. But for me, I helped to evolve the backspin. There was a basic backspin that was slow, kind of like how DST does, and then. But then there was what I called, DST one of the illest of all time. But then there was what I came up with, which was called the whip backspin, where I plant my arm and I was able to whip my legs around and then ball up. And momentum, and just that basic science, allows you to spin faster than just tucking your arm down into the floor. And then I created the continuous backspin, which also became known as the windmill.
Crazy Legs.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming through, man.
Thank you for having me, man. This is crazy because you got Clark Kent, JC, you got Coco Rock here, DXT, so it's kind of, I'm not intimidated because I'm a confident ass motherfucker, but I feel like a pig in shit right now. Because it's so cool to be around these brothers.
Yo, look, this is what hip hop is all about. Each one teach one, and it's us. It's no
No doubt,
me,
man.
no big R's and no
Yeah.
little U's. And that's what some of these younger brothers need to learn about the culture. And that's why I'm glad and honored to have you here today. Even though I know you, we go back
Yeah,
in the
no
days
doubt.
and everything.
I
you know
still
what I'm saying?
can't get used to calling you Kayslay.
Yeah, I
the
know.
first thing I said when I walked in, I was like, Desi
Yeah, what's
Dez.
up? You know what I'm saying? That was the moniker back. It is what it
Yeah,
is. I don't even get mad when I hear
You're
like,
legendary
that's
on
me.
different levels.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Like I always try to find a way to flip the script and keep myself in the mix. Man.
Yeah, man.
But again, thank you for coming through.
man.
What's the
Thank you, man.
Science
Right.
podcast / showcast, yo? If you want the culture, it's here for you now. It won't cost you shit.
Yeah.
Warning, warning, warning. The Drama King is in the building. The Drama King is in the building.